Agatha and Ron were two of the most respected and well-known spell spinners on Wizardly. They were known for their extraordinary powers and their loyalty to the law. Together they had won many heroic battles against the evil powers that threatened Wizardly and its people. Agatha and Ron had two children, Edgar and Eliza. Unlike their parents, Edgar and Eliza weren't extraordinarily gifted or disciplined. At most, they were average compared with their peers at school. Regardless of their limited abilities as spell spinners, Edgar and Eliza had other powerful skills. Edgar was a true leader, strong and kind, while Eliza was a curious soul, agile in mind and body, and smart. After school, Edgar always picked up Eliza on their way home. "How was your day, Edgy? Mr. Grongle is always comparing me to my dad. I'll never be able to master the elements like he did. Don't feel bad. Dad is a great wizard, but I think you're pretty cool." "Thanks, Eli. How about you?" "Well, about the same." Back at home, Edgar and Eliza would play and practice magic all afternoon. When their parents came back from work, Agatha would practice sensing spells with Eliza, and Ron would try to help Edgar improve his first elemental spell. Edgar's challenges were more difficult, but his father never totally gave up. "You're falling behind, my son. Clear your mind and try again." Agatha and Ron worried about their kids because, despite all their efforts to teach and inspire them, the children didn't show any strength in their desired abilities. All their friends had already mastered at least one element or sense. They were beginning to lose hope. Nevertheless, Ron tried every night to teach Edgar the essentials of spinning the elements. Elemental magic is power. Men are born with the ability to control and command the elements. I know you can do it. Pick up your match talisman and try again. "Dad, I don't think my magic match is working. I follow all the steps every time, but my spells never catch." "Of course it works. You just need to focus on the world around you. When you try to cast a spell, I don't know, it's almost like you're trying to feel your senses." Ron looked away, unable to hide his disappointment. Edgar felt overwhelmed and ashamed of himself. He felt he was letting his dad down by not being good enough. Even so, he kept trying long into the night. "Edgar, there are 10 fundamental spells you can learn and combine to cast virtually any magic. Wicked steam made with water and fire, breezy drizzle made with water and air, electrofusing made with water and lightning, mudus humus made with water and earth, oxybust made with fire and air, electrofire made from fire and lightning, blazy stones made with earth and fire, stormery made with air and lightning, musty dusty made with air and earth, zip zing zim made with lightning and earth." "Now let's practice breezy drizzle, Edgar. This time we can use my elements. Combine the two you need to cast this spell." "Great, Edgar. See, it isn't that difficult. Your match works. Now try casting the Mudus Hummus spell on your own." Ron was satisfied with tonight's outcome, even though for the most part Edgar couldn't cast a single spell properly. Inside the office, Agatha was trying to cast sensory spells with Eliza when she burst out. "But Mom, how come I never get to practice with Dad? I think I could master fire if he taught me how." "Oh, Eliza, the elements are way too powerful. If you can't get to manipulate the senses, how can you even think you could handle the elements? Eliza shrugged and answered, I don't know, I just feel it. Well, if you don't practice with your senses and your pendant talisman, no sorcerer will ever ask you to cast with him. Would you like that? Now focus, because you have too much to learn. The next day, on their way back to school, Eliza and Edgar spoke about their parents' lessons. Today, they were especially frustrated with last night's outcomes. I know that Dad would love to have Daniel for a son. He's so good at everything, he doesn't need to practice to ignite his wonderful spells. Everybody thinks I'm a big failure. Ah! At least Mom doesn't remind you every 5 seconds that if you can't even control the senses, how can you even imagine to control the elements, blah, blah, blah. She thinks that nobody will pick me to be his sidekick. Back at home, Eliza had a great idea. Edgar, I was just thinking, maybe Mom and Dad have a diary or something from when they mastered their crafts. If we could only find them, I bet we could become as good as they are. Wow, Eliza, that's the best idea you've ever had. Maybe someone might want you for a sidekick after all, Edgar teased. Edgar and Eliza spent most of the day trying to find something useful, but they only found sophisticated grown-up books that they couldn't understand. The library was huge and full of books, notebooks, workbooks, and research papers. As they dug deeper, they started to find older, simpler books. Still, they couldn't find their parents' diaries. Look, Eliza, here's Dad with long hair. Both of them laughed out loud. Do you think Mom and Dad will get mad at us if they know we're going through their stuff? No, Eliza replied. I think they'll be proud of us, trying to become like them. Finally, they arrived at the most hidden pile of books, but none of them had what they were looking for. Great idea, Eliza. Now we've lost the whole afternoon and we haven't even practiced today. Eliza moved the last book off the pile and she saw a little hole in the ground. Without thinking, she poked her finger in, but it got stuck. When Edgar tried to help her, instead of pulling out her finger, they opened a little hidden door right in the floor. There they found one last mysterious book. It looked different from the other ones, older but shinier at the same time. Eliza's finger was no longer stuck for some reason, and they both reached to grab it. Neither of them had ever seen a book quite like this. Edgar opened the book and started reading it. The book contained spells he had never heard of, but as they continued reading, they figured out why. This book explained how sorcerers used to cast sensory spells, spells not even Eliza had heard of yet. They were frightened. There was no way a sorcerer could cast sensory spells. Their curiosity excited them, and they read as fast as they had ever read before, trying to absorb and digest every word on that book. Then something even more shocking came. The book talked about Samantha, the most famous elementary sorceress. Edgar and Eliza looked at each other in disbelief and at the same time exclaimed, "What?" Eliza's eyes opened as big as saucers. She grabbed the book and read page after page. After a while, they heard their parents calling their names. Quickly, Edgar and Eliza dumped the book back underground, closed the secret door, and piled some other books back on top. They agreed to keep this a secret and rushed outside to greet their parents. The next day, Edgar and Eliza couldn't wait to be back home reading more of what they called the Forbidden Book. We are going to get into so much trouble if anybody finds out that we're reading about cross-spell sorcery. Eliza was excited and concerned at the same time. Don't worry, Eli. I have a plan.